It's good. Is yours a park run t-shirt?
This is a park run. Yeah.
Sorry. Well,
Park run.
I've still never done.
So we're comparing t-shirts. This is Christopher Snead, who has a little bit more hair than me, and is one of my favourite people in the entire history of people, which is quite exciting. So, as a youth group, some of the members of my youth group will have heard hints of our escapades. Right, they would have heard little hints and things like that, and they would have heard of you in little stories that I've told them, and other members of the youth group, like your sister and things like that. Whether they will know you by name, I think I may have just used some examples of Christmas, rather than Becky-ness and all the other members of our youth group who've gone on to do fabulous things. But before I get you to introduce yourselves, we need to decide how many of them are going to trust you and your perspective by giving you the 5 questions that they then decide whether they're going to ignore everything you say or they're going to carry on listening. So these, we call them the 5 questions of judgment, because they will make a judgment on you based purely on these questions. Rather than any of the serious questions, it's the silly questions that matter. Yeah. So the first question, Coke or Pepsi?
Coke or Pepsi?
Indeed.
I think if we were going just Coke and just Pepsi, and not variations thereof,
not the range.
Pepsi Max.
You can go as far as but you can't go to cherry. You can go to max. You can go to diet. You can go to zero, but you can't go cherry.
Okay, I'm non-zero. I'm non-zero. I'm not a zero fan. I like my vegetable extract-based beverages to be numerate. So I think I'm a Coke man. Although if I'm in a KFC, I will definitely get a Pepsi Max.
That's smoothly done. It brings us on to question number 2. KFC or Mackie D's?
Well, there we go. You've got the Coke at the Mackie D's, and you've got the Pepsi. You've got the Equilibrium. Well, I do like both, but if I had to pick, I would, and I was on my own because then it's only me.
You have to pick.
I do have to pick. Then I would say KFC.
Right, kids.
Okay, that's good.
Well, I mean, that would also be my choice because
I do like
McDonald's. As I've said before with other people, McDonald's is useless once it stops doing breakfast.
Well, I quite like a McDonald's French fry.
Just one.
Just
French fry, please. Beautiful.
The KFC have gone through various iterations, and they need to settle on a decent chip. But the
KFC do. KFC chips are not much cop, bless them.
No, but the burgers are out of this world.
As I'm pretty sure my youth group may have heard. 3 burger Snead. Was it 3? Yeah. Was it actually 3? I'm trying to. Did I make this up?
3, yeah.
Did I make? You had 3. Was it 1 Zinger Tower and 2?
It was either that way around, yeah, or 2 Zinger Towers and 1 Fillet Tower.
You didn't go for Pepsi 3 of the same.
You need a variation. You need a bit.
I was sitting there going, did he really eat no chips? Just 3 burgers.
No, chips are no. Get rid of that.
Was that? And that was at Huntingdon Tower Fields, wasn't it?
Yes, it was before.
Were we going to see a film?
Cineworld. It was a relatively regular thing. I seem to remember.
Yeah.
We'd go for a little snoop around Blockbusters.
Oh yeah, Shrek 2.
Busters Video, and listen to the funny film buffs.
Yeah.
And then we'd go and watch a film.
You can't remember what film we watched that time?
No, it might have been. I remember us going and watching Training Day, and that was our.
Yeah, it's quite a strong film, that one actually. It's quite.
Yeah. It was. The only reason I remember it is because I think it was an 18, and it was my first 18.
It was your first 18.
An 18-year-old.
I bought it on DVD from Woolworths, I think, afterwards. But that's an aside.
Sorry, spending a lot of time on.
So football-wise, I know that for some strange reason you support a team from Birmingham. So where do you stand on the Man City, Man United type?
Well, as someone who lived in Manchester,
you university there, didn't you?
I did. I went to college in Manchester and lived there in total for 7 years. I actually lived just around the corner from Main Road, which used to be where the Manchester City ground was. And actually, one of our vicars at the church I went to in Manchester was the chaplain for at the City. And because I'm married to a Leeds United fan, and there's a big rivalry between Leeds United and Manchester United, I would sit fairly firmly in the Manchester City camp.
The blue side of things.
Yes, on the blue moon.
Wow.
But I do
and historically, that goes further back than their current success, doesn't it? Because back when you were at uni, they were pretty awful.
Yeah, I went off them actually when they started to just buy everyone and buy their success. That's not my, that's
not your preferred football
style. It's not good, no. Mainly because I support a team who is not great, and I kind of fear Aston Villa is my team, obviously, because they're the best. And Man City were kind of similar. Well, they're the best in Aston. They were kind of similar, Villa and City, and then City just kind of bought their way out of the and Villa went down. So yeah, it's bitterness.
Although Villa had John Terry last season, didn't they?
They did a couple of seasons ago, yeah. And actually, he's still on the coaching staff. So
I would say that smoothly brings us on to the question of Hillsong or Bethel, but it doesn't.
Hillsong or Bethel?
Hillsong or Bethel? Come on, from your Christian worship perspective.
Tricky one. I don't particularly like either of them, to be honest. But
you're
if I had
a proper musician, they're probably musically quite
Yeah,
similar.
well, it's more a theological point of view.
Yeah. Well, I have the same issues with both.
Yeah,
but musically.
But musically, well, yeah, like I said, it's not really. I don't know. I guess more lots of silence, as I think. I guess Hillsong. I don't know. It's yeah.
Okay.
I can't name song from my.
Mozart or Bach?
Oh, Bach all the way.
Oh, well, there we see. Just so that you don't know, that's where to peg a musical.
Okay, I wouldn't set Hillsong and or Bethel on an equal par with Mozart or Bach.
No, probably. I mean, not musically, but
we're talking JS Bach, right?
Well, yeah. Rather than Bit of a Tree.
Yeah, good. Or dogs.
There we go. Tea or coffee?
Tea or coffee? Tea or coffee? 2 teas, please.
2 teas to go with your 3 burgers.
That's Alan Partridge quote, which being Norwich.
That's gone over my head. I've missed out on that. I mean, if you're talking Lexi and
yes,
stuff like that, I'd get you. But
yeah.
No.
That's from a different series, I think. That's first series, and I'm quoting second series, which is probably the less good of the two. Anyway, I am a bit of a coffee snob. I know you make a good coffee. I am yet to fully establish myself with equivalent gear, but I do like proper coffee. I'm not an Azera man. I'm not a Nescafe man. But having said that, being married to someone from Yorkshire, I do like a Yorkshire tea.
So you can. I mean, you can have both. I mean, you don't have to be one or t'other.
Now you tell me on the final question.
Yeah.
I'll have a tea first thing in the morning, and my second hot drink will be a coffee, black, no sugar, no milk.
See, I either have it black or
latte.
Black or latte. Anything in between is pretty useless. I
am the same. I just can't. I don't have the facility to make a latte to my liking.
Well, there we go.
Microwave milk.
So based on your answers there, people will either decide whether you are worthy of listening to.
Fantastic.
Or that you lack wisdom.
That I lack wisdom. Well, I certainly lack that.
So some people will now go, I do not trust his answers. I'm going to go from Facebook and YouTube over onto Twitter or something like that. And
yeah, well, I'm there. Well, I'm on Twitter.
Well, you were. Well,
don't follow me.
I went back on Twitter recently. I thought, well, I've forgotten what a strange place Twitter is. It's quite an angry place.
Extremely, yes, it is. It is the best and the worst. Very much the worst of a lot of people.
It's where you go to do this. If
yeah,
you're on probably not on your phone. It's more.
Yeah.
And angry fingers.
Anger. Yeah.
Let's move on to the serious questions. So I'm gonna just apply a serious.
I can't believe the first ones weren't serious, to be honest.
Well, I mean, obviously, I've grown up a lot. Just because I've got a hairy face, but you know, but there are some serious aspects that I have to deal with in youth work. And they do go a little bit deeper generally than just Hillsong or Bethel. But so we're gonna look at a little bit about some of your story. So tell us a little bit about what you do. So we know whether you like Man City and KFC and stuff like that, but what do you do? How do you make a living and things?
Well, I am a professional musician. I play the trumpet. So that involves me traveling all around the country, playing music in a variety of different settings, be it in an orchestra or a big band or a theatre, West End shows, functions, play people's weddings sometimes. I play lots of different things, lots of different styles. And that's lots of fun. It involves a lot of traveling, a lot of driving.
Would you recommend it to someone as a way of earning many, many pennies?
It's not really the way to financial security. It's taken, I'm in my mid-30s, and it's taken up until around about now to, well, maybe around 30 probably to be in a position where I feel like I am earning sufficient amounts to provide for my family. It's not the easiest unless you're like ludicrously talented. Then it involves a lot of hard work in practicing and just getting good and being nice and meeting people and yeah.
Are you a professional schmoozer now? Do you schmooze?
Well, I try not to be because I kind of don't like schmoozing. Yeah, it's you just got to be nice, easy to get on with, and not be annoying. Be the kind of person that people want to work with, and kind of. I guess that there's aspects of that apply to any profession, I suppose. But I'm being freelance. Obviously, I'm not. You know, people will just not ask me again if
you're horrible.
Yeah.
Do you get prima donnas? Do you come across people who, you know, you're probably not at the point when you can demand 100 red roses in your changing room, but do you come across such people?
I'm in the mid-90s. No, I mean, there's certain things. It depends on the context, really. I mean, there's certain things that you would expect at gigs, but yeah, you do get some people who are a bit more kind of like that. But the kind of people I work with, sort of similar to me, I suppose. We pretty much get what you're given, and you know that's going to be the case when you take on the job. So.
Are you still doing some teaching as well to fill the time?
I am still doing, yes. So I do a couple of days a week teaching in schools, just teaching trumpet. And that's has its rewarding moments and it's kind of banging my head against the wall moments, as any music teacher can attest to. To which any
children who maybe don't quite want to learn as much as you'd like to teach.
Yeah, children who are kind of want to get out of lessons, or they like the idea of being able to play an instrument, but they're not really willing to put in the work to get there. Or they just, lots of kids have got lots of different exciting things that they like to do. There's, yoga classes and I don't know, pottery.
Sport.
Sport, yeah. Sport and stuff like that. So people have, it isn't something people quite often. Kids don't just have music and want to learn the trumpet. That's it. And that was kind of my experience. All my eggs were in that basket. So I kind of focused my attention on it. Whereas I teach lots of children who like to do lots of variety of things, and that's fine. But it just means that.
But you play a number of instruments. I know you say you're a trumpeter.
Yeah.
You play a lot of instruments. In reality,
Well,
I know you probably being at the level of musician you are, you probably wouldn't class yourself as a guitarist, but you can play the guitar better than I can.
I definitely
and you taught me the drums, and you're a very good drummer.
I had lessons on the drums, and I guess you get to a certain degree of musicality and you can sort of hash your way through various instruments.
How would you be on a harp?
On a harp, not great. I'd be all right at the thing that everyone would be okay at the harp at, which is going. But I couldn't play anything fancy or anything. I can sort of hammer out piano things.
No, you're quite good on the piano. I think you could. You know where everything is, don't you?
Yeah, and I guess that's what I'm saying. Is as long as you know what notes are which, then you can kind of work your way around a lot of instruments that don't require sort of some kind of specialist physical technique, like brass instruments. In order to get a good sound, you've got to know what your lips are doing and what to do with the air and stuff. And I could play a violin, not holding it like that because that's really bad technique. Make a sound on a violin. I know physically how to do it, but I couldn't make it sound lovely. So
violin, when played well, is very nice. Violin, when played badly, is like bad dentistry.
You say that for any instrument, I suppose. So trumpet is the main thing, and I would consider myself a professional. But I do play other things.
Is there any instrument that you blow down? That sounds really weird, but that you couldn't play?
I couldn't play.
Clarinet, that's reed rather than...
Yeah, clarinet I can just about... In part of my teaching, we teach a whole class, and half of them have a trumpet each, and half of them have a clarinet each. So for having done that for a few years, I've picked up the ability to play the tune Tequila on the clarinet, which goes in case anyone's unfamiliar with that one. So I can play that on the clarinet. That's the one. But something like the oboe or the bassoon, which is a double-reeded instrument, that I would find that hard to begin with, but I'd probably work my way around. Again, it wouldn't sound great, but I'd be able to make our sound unsound.
I think on an oboe, I might know which end to blow.
Yes.
That's about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The blowing end.
So you're a musician. Your wife was originally an artist, wasn't she?
She was. She did an art degree at Manchester Metropolitan University Art School.
Right. So musician and artist. Obviously, going to retire really early and buy a second home in Barbados.
Yes. Well, we're very creative
Creative types.
Yes.
Exactly.
She's now a primary school teacher, which she is absolutely excellent at. That's quite tough. So she may find herself moving more towards something arty later in life when she's had enough of working like a dog.
It's so much work being and the thing with primary school teachers, I know a couple. I'm very close to a couple of primary school teachers. We've got lots in our church.
Where are they?
Just at the back there.
Oh, okay.
Do you like the fairy lights?
I do. Yeah.
They're very exciting. This is the spare room.
Fairy Across the
Across the
Mersey.
Mersey. Pretty good. But yeah, the primary school teachers at the church just seem to work ridiculous numbers of hours.
Yeah.
And even when they're not working, they're still kind of working.
Yeah.
It just seems silly.
Yeah. Lots of time, lots of effort.
And you got two little ones as well.
We have two boys. Yes, the eldest one, Jesse, is going to be 3 on Friday, which is exciting. And the youngest one, Jude, is 1 and a bit. He's 16 months, I think. We're counting it in months. February.
Still in the months period. That kind of finishes at about 24 months. You can't really go beyond that.
Yeah. He's 2 now. He's 2. So they're great. So at the moment, I'm spending a lot of time with them because I basically don't have any work at the moment because obviously no one can meet to come to concerts and gigs and shows and things. No one's allowed to get married, or they might be changing, but only, social distancing is meaning that all my work has disappeared, and schools being closed as well means all the teaching work has disappeared. So I'm essentially the dad, which is great.
Have you done any sort of Zoom teaching lessons or anything like
that? Yeah, so I have done some. Yeah, it's
with a child under the arm and a French horn in the other, or something like that.
No, well, thanks. Sarah's just been. Yeah, that's. It's a liver phone, isn't it? That one, I think.
It's a liver phone, yes. Adrian coloured, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, with the tinkle horn.
My wife only works part-time now since our second son was born.
Appears. We won't go into any more detail about that.
No need. Since the stork brought the. Yeah. What were we saying? Yeah. So she works the start of the week, and then I do all my teaching on a Thursday when she's around to wrangle the children. And
do they take a bit of wrangling? Have you got energetic, speedy ones?
Not masses of wrangling, but she'll just take them out or take them into another room so they're not running around in the background like that classic BBC interview.
Yes.
Coming in. There's none of that goes on, thankfully. So very grateful to my darling wife.
They're good, these wives, aren't they? They're good.
They are. It is good. It is good to get married. So it's fine. It's not ideal. It's not the same as being in the same room as a student. And, brass playing is quite physical, or music. A lot of music playing is physical, and just being able to see, and also audio quality over Zoom isn't always great. You get the thing where it cancels out. The student will play a note on the trumpet and it will think it's background noise and it will cancel it out, so that
it does this automatic level adjustment. That's not good.
Yeah. So that can be quite annoying.
You can't show them. No, you want to be doing that.
You can to a certain degree, obviously, because they can see you, but you can't. Yeah, it's just not the same. But it's the keen one. It's the keen ones that have signed up, as you'd expect. So they're a bit more into actually doing some practice, and I can tell them what to do, what I think to do, and then hopefully I can gauge it based on how they sounded over Zoom the previous week as to whether that's helping.
You're looking forward to doing some more face-to-face stuff then?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be. It's just much easier to do it in person. And you can get a bit isolated, can't you? Just being in your little room, not having the kind of interaction.
So you're just outside of London, which is probably quite an expensive. London. You're outside the ring road, so it's not London. You're in Essex.
I am just in Essex.
So in that Essex, London, what is it?
Yeah. I'm just
near the M25. You're on the tube, or not far from the tube, so you can skip it to London.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's handy. I would, from a work point of view, it's helpful to be near London, within touching distance. But Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's Elliot. Nothing to do with it. ET moment, 1982.
Yeah, but I guess I'm technically not in London, and I'm in Essex, which is all sorts of exciting, as you can tell from my facial expressions.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Growing up, I never would have sat there and thought you're going to live in Essex.
no,
I
think I
didn't
would
put
have
those two
actually
things
avoided
together.
it.
You know.
No, let's not play to the stereotypes, Peter. Otherwise, we'll be
Well, you know, I've lived there also.
six-fingered
I've lived
family.
in Essex. I've done Essex.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful thing. Lovely
Didn't
place.
your
Actually,
wife
I quite like
girl?
Chelmsford. Yeah, Nicola was, you know, she spent some time in Essex. She started
Right.
off in Bedford, so she wouldn't
Okay.
herself as an Essex girl. So
Good. Yeah, no, obviously it's fine. It's fine.
there's some nice bits of Essex.
Yeah, there are some very nice bits. Yeah.
Have you ever been to Aroma at Basildon Leisure Park? Have I taken you there
I
before?
think I've been to Basildon actually. No.
Well, there's only one reason to go to Basildon, and it's the Chinese buffet. It is the best Chinese buffet in the world.
All right.
It's truly beautiful.
My wife doesn't like Chinese food, so.
And at this point, I don't know what we can say other than it's been lovely speaking. No, there's nothing on the whole Chinese menu. There's about 300 things on a Chinese menu.
No, nothing. No, I've tried. I've tried to take her in through the back door as well with Thai. She likes curry. She likes Indian curry. She's a big curry fan. So you think Thai curry? Maybe that might introduce the Eastern flavors. But no.
I made a pad Thai for Nicola last night. We had a living room date night. I had a pad Thai, and I can't get the chili level right. Both of us were sweating our little faces off. It was just so spicy, and I only put in because I used all the chilies in like the pad Thai kit.
Right.
A while back, and it was nearly inedible. So I put in like a quarter of the chili this time, and it was still just. And I like spicy food.
Yeah.
But it was there we were. It was a classy moment, eating pad Thai, watching Benidorm. It was but it was so spicy. Nicola couldn't finish it, so I had her leftovers for my breakfast this morning, which was lovely.
Great.
Fantastic. Right, so you do lots of traveling. Traveling's probably your thing. What's your preferred method of travel with your trumpet case?
Well, I drive a car. So that is, I mean, I prefer to be driven.
Oh, it'd be lovely.
But yeah, I drive myself a lot of the time.
So people don't send a car for you then?
No, I'm not quite up in.
Not quite there yet.
No.
Let's aspire to that.
Yeah.
Before you hit 40, someone's got to send. I will send a car for you.
Send a car.
What are you driving at the moment?
I'm driving well, we have two cars because that's the most easy for if I'm out working and Sarah wants to actually do something, not sit at home. So we have a Vauxhall Corsa, which is my main kind of pootling around car. And then we have a Vauxhall Zafira, which is the family.
So you've gone little Vauxhall, big Vauxhall. We've gone little Mazda, big Mazda.
Oh.
We've got Mazda 2 and Mazda 5. So we've got a 7-seater. So we've
the Zafira is a 7-seater, but we never use the other seats.
We've also because I'm when we're allowed to, I fill it full of young people for events and transport them around and stuff like that. We've both got to that point when we sat there and we've gone, well, that's a good sized boot. It's no longer about the speed of the car or the look of the car. Well, the first thing we look at is that's a good sized boot.
It's not a Peugeot 306, is it?
No, I loved my 306. It's lovely. No, although I quite like Nicola's Mazda 2. It's a little bit like driving a bee.
Oh, right.
It makes a similar noise as well. But we've both got to that stage in life where boot space has become more important than anything else.
It has indeed.
Have
Yes.
you got seat heaters?
No.
Oh, I've got a seat heater, but I don't like them. It makes it feel like you've weed yourself a little bit. So we don't use those. That's a waste.
No helping in the summer either.
No, not at all. Hmm. So you've changed sort of to lockdown dad.
Yes.
Are you enjoying that? Is that something you'd sit there and go, do you know what? Stuff this musician malarkey. I'm going to become a lockdown dad.
I do love the extra time I have with my sons. It's amazing, and it's something I need to make the most of, really. But I do quite like time to myself, and that's not always possible. I've been trying to sort of take, maybe, when they've gone to bed, one of us will go out, or just go out for a walk or something, and just have a bit of time to yourself, just to have your own thoughts. Because very small kids like ours don't, they demand a lot of your attention. And obviously I love them with every fibre of my being. And I love spending time with them. I do appreciate a bit of respite. And
how do you do respite in lockdown?
Well, as I say, I'll just go out for a walk on my own, and maybe listen to a podcast or listen to some music, and just go and walk around a field or something. Or just go and sit in the park and just have a bit of me.
Have you played golf at all since we used to play in Piddly a bit?
I have been to Top Golf once.
What's Top Golf?
Top Golf? You don't know what Top Golf is?
No.
Top Golf?
If it's come out in the last 20 years, it'll be in Norfolk soon.
It's basically like it is a driving range, but in the driving range there are massive big holes in the ground with nets that are like circular, like targets, and you have to get it in the middle. And obviously, if it's further away or you get closer to the middle, you get more points. And you play with a friend and you try and get the most points, beat each other.
Sounds a little bit like Laser Quest, but with golf.
Yeah. No, it's fun, but I've only done that once. I don't have my clubs here; they are at my parents, because of space, and also I don't have anyone to go and play with, and I suck. So
wasn't that bad. Used to be quite good. Used to hit the ball very low.
Last time I hit a golf ball was with you. Wow. When I stayed the night at yours, probably 5 years ago now or something. And we went and hit some golf balls, and I haven't done it since then. I do enjoy it, but it's finally the time to do it now, really.
Well, you see, work and parenthood and lockdown, there's all sorts of excuses and things getting in the way. I've not.
Yeah.
When was the last time? I mean, I played a little bit last year, around this time, just after I'd finished my course, because that's the other thing is when you've decided, to not bother to study when you're like 19, when most people do studying, and wait until you're 30, 38 when I started, and you've got a family and a job and a house and things like that. That's a sensible time to study. Yeah. All of your spare time, it's like quickly must read theology.
Yeah, of course.
So at this point last year when I finished, I was like, golf. So I went and played golf every week for a bit, and that was quite fun. But I've not been able to do this year. I mean, I think the golf course is actually open, but I can't. I just can't sort of. I've got too much going on, and the garden's gone wild. So. So on a day off, I've got to sit there and get hands and knees in the mud to get in the weeds.
You got to tend to your greens.
It's hard, isn't it? So we're sort of coming into land a little bit. To the end of our wee chat. It's been lovely, nice little chat.
Wee chat.
If you were able to. I've not written this on the list of questions, so you've got to answer this off the top of your head. I know, spontaneity. If you were to rewind back to being sort of 15, 16, 17,
yes,
but you're able to give yourself one bit of advice before you get back to that point, what would you in your late 30s, none of this mid 30s malarkey, come on,
36.
that's over the hump of the 30s. Over the hump. What would you in your late 30s say to sort of 15, 16-year-old self to try and give yourself the best piece of advice for the coming 20 something years?
Not 100% sure. I think if I think back to when I was a 15, 16-year-old, I was kind of okay at school stuff. That was, although, yeah, just the usual school stresses. I was kind of okay. I think by then I knew what I wanted to do work-wise. I could have maybe told myself to work a bit harder at what I loved. But thinking back, it was I was just desperate for a girlfriend when I was 15, and I think I just needed to tell myself to just chill out a bit about it, because it's not the be all and end all, and it worked out okay for me because I managed to find someone to literally convince to.
Did she take some convincing?
A bit of wooing, yes.
Did she take some wooing?
I turned on the charms. No, yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, there's nothing that springs to mind that is like really fundamentally. You
were quite a steady teenager, though, weren't you?
Yeah.
You know, you really didn't go off the rails.
No, I didn't.
And your head was screwed on, which was quite good.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know whether. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's a bit of a boring answer to that question, really. But
no, I quite like that. I quite like the idea of spend a bit more time on the stuff you love and worry less about trying to find a boyfriend or girlfriend. I think that's pretty reasonable advice.
Yeah.
I probably could have that looking back at my teenage years, I probably could have taken that advice on as well. That's not bad advice for all, I think.
Hey, you were very good at an Olympic breakfast, so
but I can still bust out an amazing breakfast.
Not everyone can do that.
Yeah, not everyone, indeed. But I was kind of the same. You know, I was absolutely convinced that I was gonna miss out on love.
Yeah.
You know, so probably more when I was about 18 or 19. I was like, I've got to get married. I've got to find the one. And
you did girlfriend for most of the time, didn't you? I had zero female attention.
Yeah, but I didn't have a girlfriend until I was about 16.
Oh, okay.
And then went mad.
Okay.
We've gone through this in the youth group a number of times. But I was so intense that
right.
a lot of people who I had managed to convince to go out with me were then like, he's so intense. That's it. And that it was just there was this pressure, and talking to young people now, which I do. I'll be a rubbish youth worker if I didn't talk to young people. That pressure's still there. There's lots of things that have changed, technology and all sorts, but the pressure to to get in relationships and that's still there.
Yeah, it comes from a kind of desire to be loved, I suppose, doesn't it? And you want to be accepted. You don't want to necessarily be the sort of outcast that no one likes. And if we can dabble with the serious for a minute, then we all find acceptance and unconditional love in Jesus Christ.
Well done. Smoothly done. Smoothly done.
Irrespective of who we are.
Did you ever have a little period where you drifted away from church at all?
Not hugely. I think I went through the usual teenage kind of can't be bothered with this, and my parents want me to do it. But I don't know. I not massively, to be honest.
But we were both quite involved, though. It was quite hard for us not to go to church because we were sort of were doing stuff in the church. It wasn't that. And Bethel was really good for that. It did get us doing stuff, and and that makes it, you know, being engaged and involved in churches, it makes it much easier to keep going.
I think our church had a good sense of sort of community, and the youth, there was a sort of vibrant, good quality youth kind of thing. So I know lots of us at a similar sort of stage of life as youth that got on well, and so that was easy for kind of, it wasn't like we were the only kids in the church or something.
Oh, it was a bit, for a small church, it was a big youth group.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that was helpful, and you know, I had people like you that I could look to and go, oh, that guy is so cool.
Deary
I want to spend time with him.
If you could go back and tell 15 you something, I would say I was not
cool.
Him. I was definitely not cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondered. A lot of our youth group don't go anywhere near a church anymore, which is very sad. You know, but
our youth group or
our youth group growing up.
Yeah.
And you know, we've lost contact with some of them, and others we haven't. You know, it's the nature of the beast. But
no, I think going back to have I ever wandered, I think I've had times, certainly when kind of sort of coming of age, when, you know, the world has tempted me to kind of like drift away. But then I had a quite intense relationship that then ended, and my response from that was then to sort of just really plow into faith matters with increased intensity, and just kind of realize that, you know, when something that you think is really kind of important to you goes away, that God is constant and foundational and is always there, kind of, it's your base. So that's worth investing in and build. Oh, here we go. Here's your parable.
Here we are.
Building your house on a solid rock, just like not on the sand,
and not on the North Norfolk coast, where your house will fall into the sea. That's happened to a number of houses on the North Norfolk coast. We are a living example of that parable.
Yeah, true.
So having gone from that very, very serious point, we now end on what is an important but slightly less serious point of fish or wig. Now, with coronavirus, little known fact: the coronavirus can be ended by you wearing either political leader wig, or fish hat. You can go front fish, you can go side fish. I've never really gone back fish. That's not good. But if coronavirus could be ended by you wearing either fish or wig for a whole year, which would you choose?
Oh man, well, given, you know, can you do that? Can you wear them both?
Well, wear them both. No, the wig's going to blow away. One or t'other.
Damn it. Well, if I'm thinking about, you know, if I ever do return to work, probably the wig is going to be more acceptable to those who are wanting to employ me. But having said that, I think I would prefer the fish, to be honest. I think I'm more of a fish.
For a whole year, you would don the fish.
I think so.
These bits get me, actually.
Given that I don't have any real reason not to, I'm going to go fish.
Do it.
Well, the wig would just be in order to conform, to fit in, to look like other people. And, you know, we're supposed to be salt and light. So we're supposed to
just deliberately stand out. And that's the holiest dance we've had yet. We've got to be salt and light, so wear a fish on your head. That's like the underscript
to the
what's
patterns
going
of
on.
this world.
If I dig around in the Greek, will I actually find
ichthus on hedos?
Fishes, mullitus
Yes.
Noggin.
Oh, mullet. You're essentially doing both.
There we go. Or is it red snapper? I don't know. Well, that's exciting. It's been very, 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 very nice to have a little catch up. We've not had a little catch up for far too long.
It's been many
a silly number of moons.
Yes.
We should do this again sometime. And if you get a chance, you've got to come and see my overgrown garden and stuff like that.
I would love to. I'm occasionally over at Potter's Resort in Hopton-on-Sea, which is about as close as I get to you. Or
that for the Indoor Bowls Championships.
Yes, that's the other thing I do.
Indoor bowls.
I relax. I play bowls. Yeah. I don't.
No time.
I'm occasionally in your neck of the woods. I'd love to see you. It'd be
do it. But for the moment, I'm going to say thank you very much, Christopher Snead.
Very much indeed.